Hi, today I'm going to be showing you how to get started with the aXe core accessibility testing library. And what I'm going to be showing you is essentially how to integrate that into an existing project of yours where you already have, say, unit tests or integration tests. So what I'm going to be testing is the Alify ARIA menu. That's what you see here on my screen. Not very nice styling. I'm not exactly a designer. And basically what this implements is it implements a full ARIA menu with all the authoring guidelines, keyboard controls with the arrow keys, things rotating around or switching around. I can click the first character of a menu item, it'll jump directly to that. So all the full implementation of the ARIA authoring guidelines for this ARIA menu implementation. So what I want to do is integrate this into my existing tests. So I've got a set of tests that are automated for this. Let me run them for you. They use QUnit because this is a jQuery UI module. And so what I'm really interested in this is this keyboard focus functionality test. So let's rerun just this test and open it up for you, and I'll show you what it does. It does a bunch of all that keyboard functionality that I showed you. It exercises that and makes sure that the markup and the focus is going where it should go as the keys are pressed. So what I'm going to try to do here is integrate the aXe accessibility testing library to make sure that my markup is consistent at the appropriate points within this. So I'm going to do one of them. I'm going to test it at the end of the test to make sure that the markup is still consistent in the way it should be. But you can obviously extrapolate away from that to integrate it at all the different points at which you want to test your accessibility markup. So the first thing I have to do if I want to use aXe is I need to get the module. Now there's three ways you can do that. You can get it from Bower, you can get it from NPM, or you can go and download the source code from GitHub and build it yourself. So I'm going to actually use Bower because I'm using Bower in this project already. So I'll do Bower install --save dev axe -core, and that should fetch it for me and update my Bower JSON file so that the dependency is going to be there, and I can use this library in my project appropriately. So that's fetched the library for me. The next thing I need to do is I need to actually go to my fixture file and make sure that I have the dependency inserted into the fixture file. So I have a cut and paste. I've created the dependency insertion there for the script tag, so I just insert that, save that file, and now if I go back and rerun my test and open up the debugger, I'll see in the console that the aXe global is available. So that means that aXe is being pulled into my fixture over here and it's available for me to use in my tests. The next thing I need to do is actually go into my test and find the appropriate test, which I happen to be at right over here. Because I'm using QUnit and the assertion library that comes with QUnit, the first thing I need to do if I'm going to add any additional assertions is I need to update the number of assertions that this test expects. So I'm going to change that from 38 to 39. Then I'm going to look for the appropriate point in my test where I want to insert the call to aXe core. So I'm going to do it at the end of all the tests. So what I'm going to what this is saying is, let's make sure that the accessibility markup is, the ARIA markup, etc., is accurate after all the changes have been made by all the keyboard functionality. So to call aXe, it's very simple. You access the aXe global, aXe, dot, and then whatever function you want to call. And the appropriate function to call here is alicheck. I'm going to call that, and then I'm going to pass it two parameters. The first parameter is going to be the part of the document I wanted to test for me. Now I've got this, if I go up further up in my test, you'll see that the menu that I'm testing here is inside this $menu jQuery object. Now I could just pass the jQuery object directly in, like this, or I could pass a selector to that in the document, or I could pass the DOM element by doing $menu index 0. So there's different ways that you can access the pieces of the document that you want to test. Now what aXe does is it's intelligent in that it has some tests that only make sense if you're testing the entire document. So if I were to pass in the entire document here, it would run those tests. But because I'm passing in a portion of the page, what it's going to do is automatically turn off those tests that are not appropriate for a portion of the page. So that's one thing you don't need to think about. It'll just happen automatically for you. But you do need to know that if you want those full page tests to run, you need to pass in the document object itself. The second thing, I'm not going to pass in any options. So the second parameter, instead of being an options parameter, in this case is just going to be the callback. The callback is a function that gets the results, not the rules, as its first parameter. And then within that callback, I can then do whatever I need to. In this case, I want to do an assertion. So I'm going to say, OK, results.violations.length equals 0. And that's basically saying I'm expecting at this point there to be no accessibility problems in this particular part of the page. Of course, if you have a big project where you haven't done a lot of accessibility testing, you might expect accessibility violations. What you might want to do at this point is, instead of doing an assertion like this, you might want to just generate some kind of output that you can then look at and go and fix those problems. And when you fix them, you can come back and replace that with an assertion to assert that there are no issues. So I'm also going to give my assertion a message that if it fails, I'll see the failure in a nice readable, legible form inside my report. So I'm going to say menu should have no ARIA markup problems. Of course, I'm doing more tests than just ARIA markup. I'm running all the tests, but in this case, what I'm really interested in is that. And then I'm just going to move my async test completion call into that callback as well. So that means that the QUnit test is going to wait for that callback to be called so it can do the assertion on the results before ending the test. I'm going to save that, and then if I go back to my browser over here and I rerun the test, boom, you'll see instead of 39 assertions, 38, it's done 39, and my test is run. So that's great. I'm using aXe. But in this case, there weren't any issues. What if there were issues? So let's do that. Let's go back and actually create some issues. So what I've prepared here is an incorrect use of the ARIA expanded. What I'm doing is putting the ARIA expanded on the wrong element where it's not actually allowed. So let me actually go and expose all the uses of this ARIA expanded inside the source code over here. Excellent. Save that. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to rerun the test. And now you can see the test is actually failing. What I can now do as a developer, if this was my code and I wanted to fix it, I didn't know what was going in, is I can go into the source code debugger over here, find that particular line where that assertion is being done inside my tests, and that's, let me search for ARIA. Okay, found it. So now I can set a breakpoint over here and rerun my test. And then when the test gets to this particular point, I can look at the results object, I can look inside the violations object, and I can see that the error that it's giving me here is the ARIA attribute is not allowed for the role assigned to this element. So that's telling me, and I can look at all the information that's inside this JSON object to get all that things that I need in order to be able to fix this problem. So what I'm going to do now is obviously go back and undo my changes over here to get rid of this bad use of ARIA expanded, and go and rerun the test. And now when the test gets here, it should run correctly. So that gives you a good idea of how you can get hold of the aXe core library, how you can integrate it into your existing JavaScript unit tests, and in future videos I'll be showing you how to do the same thing with JUnit or Selenium, WebDriver, etc. So thank you very much.